This is the land of my birth. This is the land of my birth. This is Jamaica, my Jamaica. This is the land of my birth.
Stick is the whip and the dark deck is slavery. Stick is the whip and the dark deck is slavery. Limbo. Limbo like me. Drumstick knock and the darkness is over me. Knees spread wide and the water is hiding. Limbo. Limbo like me. Knees spread wide and the dark ground is under me. Down, down, down. And the drummer is calling me. Limbo. Limbo like me. Sun coming up and the drummers are praising me. Out of the dark and the dumb gods are raising me up, up, up. And the music is saving me. Hot, slow step on the burning ground.
If we must die, oh, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot while round us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mark at our accursed lot. If we must die, oh, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us, though dead. Oh, kinsman, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show us brave, and for their 1,000 blows deal one death blow. What? Though before us lies the open grave, like men, we'll face the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying, but fighting back.
There is joy in the woods just now. The leaves are whispers of song, and the birds make mirth on the bough and music the whole day long. And God, to dwell in the town in these spring-like summer days, on my brow an unfading frown and hate in my heart always, a machine out of gear, I, tired, yet forced to go on, for I'm hired. Just forced to go on through fear, for every day I must eat, and find ugly clothes to wear, and bad shoes to hurt my feet, and a shelter for work-drugged sleep. A mere drudge, but what can one do? A man that's a man cannot weep. Suicide, a quitter, oh no. But a slave should never grow tired when the masters have kindly hired. But oh, for the woods, the flowers of natural sweet perfume, the heartening summer showers and the smiling shrubs in bloom. Dust-free, dew-tinted at morn, the fresh and life-giving air, the billowing waves of corn, and the birds' notes rich and clear. For a man-machine, toil-tired, may crave beauty too, though he's hired.
I want to warn you all. England is a very different place from here. When you reach, you see. When you reach, the first thing you notice is the cold, like everybody say. And it's not cold like we get here. No, it's cold, cold, cold that when you breathe, it reach right down inside you and take away any last bit of warmth you think you can hold on to.
Journey woman, journey man. You are a generation dreaming. Journey woman, journey man. Stepping off the plane to an unknown future from a certain past that became more and more like the promise that escaped you. You were a generation dreaming to change the pattern, undo the seams, restyle the suits you wore as you stepped off the boat, Windrush style.
In Gilbert Joseph's last letter, he made me a promise that he would be there to meet me when my ship arrived at the dockside in England. He had composed 2 pages of instructions telling me how he would greet me. I will be there, he wrote. You will see me waving my hand with joy at my young bride, coming at last to England. I will be jumping up and down and calling out your name with longing in my tone. It did occur to me that as I had not seen Delbert for 6 months, he might have forgotten my face. The only way he would be recognising his bride was by looking out for a frowning woman who stared embarrassed at the jumping, waving buffoon she had married. But it did not matter. He was not there. There was no one that would have fitted this description. The only jumping and waving that was done was by the Jamaicans arriving and leaving the ship. Women who shivered in their church best clothes, their cotton dresses with floppy bows and lace, their hats and white gloves looking gaudy against the grey of the night. Men in suits and bow ties and smart hats. They jumped and waved at the people come to meet them. Black men in scruffy coats and hand-knitted scarves, hunched over in the cold, squinting and straining to see a bag or hair or shoes or a voice or a face that they knew, who looked feared, their eyes opening a little too wide as they perused the luggage that had been brought across the ocean and now had to be carried through the streets of London, greeting excited relatives with the same words. You bring some guava, some rum? You have a little yam in that bag?
This is first impressions. Worse ain't come yet. That happened after a while you've been there, when you feel you're getting to know what England is, and one night you go out on your own. You're used to the cold, you're used to the sight and the smell of England, and you decide you're going to go to a pub, they call them there. Not the one you've been to with the fellas from work, no. This time, you're going to be adventurous. So you pick a bar, anyone. That one there with the light shining bright and the sound of people inside enjoying themselves, welcoming. And you walk in, the warm smoky beer smelling air hit you in your face and take away your breath. And you is just inside the door, move into the bar, and then you feel it. You ain't quite sure what it is to begin with, but then, yes, a quietness. A quietness is falling in there. Quietness must have come in the bar with you, because it taking away all the sound. Every mouth stopped talking, every mouth stopped drinking, every piece of glass in the place stopped clinking and ringing. Quietness robbed the room of sound and it hang in the ear. Restless silence, trembling. And you stand there, it's like you is in hell and all the hell is screaming, but you can't hear it. But you see the eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, grey eyes, looking out from behind steamed up windows. And the vision, their vision start to bend slowly, bending. All the eyes in the room bending their vision on you. White eyes, seeing you. And then really seeing you, like you seeing yourself for the first time with their eyes. And you see you is colored. You see their whiteness and how black you is. Then the silence break, you feel it break. A liquid thumping, bubbling, bloody sound. Bloody sound, the veins in your head, the blood in your veins are swelling, heat in your head, in your whole body. You make a mistake, and in all this time, the fraction of a second from the door to the bar, nothing happens. Hell is waiting for what? For you. Your instincts tell you 400 years of breeding shout it at you. In that time, you learn what you must do. And you apologize. Nothing big, no extravagant show, no brave, no defiant. Look, you apologize with your eyes. A simple downward look. And then you retreat.
Up there. Right up there in Lawrence Tavern, amongst the trees and bushes where she rests in peace. Great-grandmother Tamar McClaren
planted plenty of good seeds. She planted mango and breadfruit trees, yam and cassava. This old-time Jamaican woman chopped back and forth tobacco leaves, pulled on a smoke-filled clay pipe with a lighted bowl in her mouth. She cooked pots of provision in the ground, embroidered traditions of alchemy, grated bissy and ginger and white rum to run the pain out of the bad belly, breaking disease and fever, to strengthen the branches for another crossing. 3 generations kindling life. Right here in the city of Leeds.
In 1948, Jamaican ex-RAF servicemen in Leeds set up the Caribbean Cricket Club. It was the city's first, and for several years, only black-led organisation. By 1955, Jamaican men and women were addressing the needs of the city's 400 West Indians. From the most basic needs, food and shelter, to human rights, anti-discrimination legislation, to social activities, media representation, employment and community relations, Jamaicans came together or stood with fellow West Indians at the forefront of the struggle for equality and equity. Pioneers by definition, they were instrumental in establishing or developing groundbreaking organisations that paved the way for a wave of activism in post-war Leeds.
I remember a journey I took on a London bus when I was a young girl. It was in the early 1960s. The bus was full of people, and one of them was a black man. This was not a common sight in those days. I could tell from his accent that, like my parents, he was from somewhere in the Caribbean. He was talkative, smiling politely at people and trying to engage them in chat. But all the other people on the bus were white, and they were looking at him askance. Nobody would be drawn into conversations. They clearly wanted nothing to do with him, but he carried on trying anyway. I was embarrassed by him, but also overcome with pity for his hopeless attempt to be friendly on a London bus. I was sure that he was a nice man, and if those people on the bus could just get to know him, then they would like him. My family also came from the Caribbean. I identified with him. He somehow became my mom and dad, my sisters, my brothers, and me. But to the other people on the bus, he was more than a stranger. He was an alien. I felt a longing to make some introductions. I could sense the misunderstandings that were taking place, but I didn't know why or what I could do. The man was different. He looked different, and he sounded different. But how come people in England did not know him? Why was he, and why were all black people from Britain's old empire so completely alien to them? This encounter is something I would never forget.
Imagine her different, a fairy tale granny cooking fudge for brown cinnamon girls like me. Her pale sugar eyes twinkle. Imagine a Ghanese bushwoman boiling root teas to punch out my fever. Her tough palms gentling my brow. Her smile stretching me, this child, this budding sunflower. The truth is not a love poem. How can I talk about my granny? Red skin, pretty yet brutal. Her aftertaste a bitter root.
I've spent almost 2 decades teaching children aged 4 and 11 in English primary schools that serve multiracial, multicultural, multi-faith communities. Over that time, I've come to notice that whenever children are asked to write a story in school, children of colour will write a story featuring characters with traditional English names who speak English as a first language. This has been the case across schools I have taught in, with barely an exception. Yet I don't recall it ever being discussed by teachers in these schools or on any of the courses on writing that I attended over the years. My own attempts to open up conversations about what I had noticed had had some success, but also been met with angry responses from a loud minority of teachers. In one case, I recall being asked, "Why are you making an issue of race when children are colourblind?" The question contains an assumption, namely that children are colourblind. I think that this might stem from a belief that children do not attach any significance to racialised identities, particularly in 21st century multi-ethnic urban classrooms, because we inhabit a post-racial world. If children were writing stories where the race of characters was varied and random, there might be some merit in claiming that children are colourblind. However, even the strongest advocates of racial colourblindness do not agree that all people are white. and English. They argue that race no longer matters. If that's true, why are young children of colour and young white children writing exclusively about white characters?
This is the land of my birth. This is the land of my birth. This is Jamaica, my Jamaica. This is the land of my birth. Let us stop for a minute, count our blessings one by one. We should never be this liar, but to stand up.